Whenever you want to take it away, you can.
I want to take it away.
Oh, man.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. Joining me this week, Justin Davis,
Swoop.
Dan Stapleton,
Ahoy.
Mitch Dyer.
Hey.
Our Road to E3 coverage continues with PC, the fourth tier of the video game
Is it,
landscape.
or is it number one?
Oh, well, yeah. PC gamers will definitely tell you it's number one. We do have some big, exciting PC games coming out this year. Maybe, first of all, a good place to start would be a game that we just revealed this week, XCOM 2.
That's right.
Dan Stapleton is so excited.
Big XCOM
little
fan.
bit.
How many hours do you have in XCOM?
Well, it's difficult to calculate. But for XCOM Enemy Unknown, plus Enemy Within, plus the
Mods, the long
Long War. Yeah. My Steam tally right now is 444 hours, but that's not factoring in the review copy that I got before release. So it's actually closer to 500, but that's also, alt-tabbing and walking away from the computer for a while. But,
In other words,
it's up there. Hundreds of hours.
Dan Stapleton, excited.
Yeah.
Excited for XCOM.
But yeah, and at E3 we will have the first gameplay footage on the live show.
Nice. I did not know that. I am learning things here today, too.
Yeah, this is a PC exclusive.
It is.
The last, Enemy Unknown came to consoles as well.
That's notable. I mean, I know
Yeah.
people consider that, I think most people experienced it on PC, and it's generally thought of as a PC game, but then it's like, oh no, that came out on those consoles. And
And it was good on console.
yeah, and I presumed it sold well, but
Sure.
I guess they were willing
It
to.
did not sell super well. I went back and looked at the NPD numbers for that month.
Interesting.
It didn't chart for that month.
You know where it sold crazy well?
Did it do well on
was,
iPad?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sold crazy well on iPad.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it sold fairly well on Steam. The
Yeah.
estimates are 2.6 million, something like that.
Great, big
So-
hit.
But 2K doesn't say exactly where the money went.
So the sequel is the XCOM group has sort of gone underground now. Right?
Yeah, they've kind of flipped the script in that the aliens now control the Earth and XCOM is fighting back against them.
I like that the canonical ending of XCOM is
You
everyone's
lost.
first ending of that game where you
Yeah.
just got fucked.
You got
And it's like, well, that's now it's XCOM 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a different starting out point.
Yeah.
So you're even more of an underdog before because you don't have the home field advantage anymore.
I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
I like that this is the sort of thing that can exist. It's like XCOM was this crazy, weird, hardcore strategy RPG.
Sure.
And then not only did it come out, but it actually thrived, became a huge hit. Now we're getting a big sequel. It's great
And
news.
Firaxis is a longtime PC developer, so it's nice that they're giving the attention squarely on one platform. And that's not to say it can never come to console.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I wouldn't be terribly surprised to see it come to consoles.
Sure. Well, especially if it sells really well,
Later
right? Like
on.
if this thing cracks 2.6 million, like, hey, maybe we should put this somewhere else.
2.6 is really specific.
That's what Justin said. I'm
Well,
fine.
I didn't say that.
That's what I said.
That's what Dan said.
That's based off some unofficial estimates.
All right.
But
It's a made-up number.
But yeah, based on what Firaxis told me, it'll be a while before it comes to console if it ever does.
Seems like people are excited about these procedurally generated maps.
Yes.
This time out.
Yes, I mean it's the Enemy Unknown has static maps. They have a lot of them. They had 80 at first, and then they added another 40 some more for Enemy Within. But if you play a bunch, you start to memorize all those maps, and you know exactly where everything is and where the enemies are likely to spawn. This one shuffles everything around every time. It's not random, but it's procedural. So it follows some rules to make sure that it plays well and looks good.
Random enough.
Yeah. But you'll never know exactly what you're going up against.
If you're one of the crazy people that has 440 hours into the game, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it was such a huge number of maps the first time around that it only becomes a problem. Once you've seen a map for the third time, you're like, oh, I think I know what's over there. Like, I think I'm starting to remember. And like, once you see those repeats over and over again, it created problems for replayability. So great
Yep.
fix this time around.
Yep, but you could easily play through an entire game of XCOM without seeing the same map twice.
Yeah.
This is for the community and there are still thousands of people that play every day. Like if you look at the Steam numbers, there's thousands of people that play XCOM
Well, I mean, plus
every
we're
day.
getting mods this time around. Modding community is going to be huge.
The
for this.
modding is Firaxis has a big push for modding. We'll have a lot more on that early next week.
And that's out. That's out this November, right? So it's
That's the plan. Which that's ambitious. I'm very very excited to hope they can pull it off.
Yeah, that is a terrifying time to come out.
Yeah, but that's what I'll be playing.
It is a terrifying time to come out, but someone that's really into XCOM,
Probably
I don't know,
is
like it
like a Halo
stands.
5
yeah,
player.
Yeah, it's its own.
Yeah.
Sure, or whatever's
I mean,
up.
I'm a Halo 5 player.
It's not going up against Battlefront and Call of Duty, right? Like it's,
Right. It's a little-
probably won't have a lot of competition in the turn-based strategy.
It's a very specific release.
Yeah.
Right.
Now we're at a little bit of a disadvantage today because we are 99. This is being filmed on Tuesday this week, and we're 99.9% sure that Fallout 4 is about to be announced.
We're going to look like
99
goofs when it's Fallout 3 for new gen.
99.95.
Yeah. that tomorrow morning. It seems like that's going to be
We'll just shoot this twice. Once speculative, once Fallout 4 guys. How about
I'm
that
getting
trailer?
my haircut though. I can't.
Called it. You probably need a haircut. Yeah.
Yeah,
You and I
people have
both,
been,
brother.
People have been telling me that. I'm trying to be. I want to be a hobbit for Halloween though.
Well, then don't get a haircut.
Yeah, cut your hair and put it on your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's most assuredly being announced tomorrow, and that'll be a big feature of the Bethesda conference.
Yep.
I mean, the rumor is Boston,
Yeah.
so we'll see. I mean, I don't know how much we even want to spend on it since we know.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we can't.
We'll
We're
have
going
all
to
to
know
do
in just a few
Yeah.
hours, but that's definitely a big.
That'll be a big PC release for sure.
Yep.
And then
That's another one where modding is super important. Like
Sure.
all the Bethesda games, the Bethesda RPGs are super moddable, and those are Skyrim. 4 years later is still among the top games played on Steam because of the modding community.
And that's going to be that's a game that again we don't have any details, but will presumably come to consoles and PC, given Bethesda's history. But PC is really the lead platform
Yeah.
for that. So.
I think so.
And it's fair to say for a lot of games. I mean, like most of the games we'll see at E3 are going to be shown on PC, even though they're saying, oh yeah, this is coming to PS4 and Xbox One.
Yeah.
Here it is running at higher settings than I even could handle on an insanely expensive graphics card.
Yeah.
Sure. And then it's also possible Bethesda could show off Dishonored 2.
It is possible.
I hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my favorite game of 2012 by far.
Dishonored,
Love that game. Love that
Dishonored,
world.
Dishonored and XCOM and Enemy Unknown came out the same day.
Wow,
Wow.
What a good day.
It was a good. It was
it's
a
a
good day.
really good day.
Yeah, already if we get XCOM 2, Fallout 4, Dishonored 2, like that, just that trinity right there is like, ooh.
Well, I thought like Thief would scratch that itch, but it really kind of didn't.
Yeah,
No, yeah.
Thief
Yeah.
kind of came and didn't make much.
Thief was not very
I know
good.
that's what thieves are supposed to do, but
It's too sneaky.
now there is a long-awaited PC exclusive that we know is going to be shown at E3, Fortnite.
That's
Something
from
been-
Epic.
Yeah,
We've heard about it for literally years at this point. We've seen bits and pieces of it at different events, but Epic has never really shown it wide. I mean, there was a Game Informer cover story where they played a bunch of it. They've shown it at different events. It's like had minimal presence at
Our boss
E3.
Steve played it quite a bit and wrote a big hands-on.
Yeah.
I think that was last
a year
year.
ago,
a year
yeah.
ago. It feels like every time we see that game, it's really different.
Yes.
I think the sort of core, again, like I don't know what form it's in now, but that core of like, base building, almost Minecraft-esque, like
Yeah.
building up a base, defending it, but combined with like a horde mode from Gears of War, like that's a great idea.
Yeah, scavenging
Lots of-
supplies in the day. And
Lots of
coming back
people
to
are
protect
doing
at
it
night.
though. There's all kinds of different takes on that.
Like who else?
I mean, I don't know. Like you see bits of that in games like Battleborn and Evolve even has aspects of that.
I feel
Not the
like
base
even
building part of
Dead
it.
Island
but
Riptide had the base building aspect thing, right? Like we've seen those elements in games, and obviously,
just horde modes. Like,
yeah, Fortnite could definitely combine those things in a really great way, and I hope it does marry them well. But I've never seen that game as like, here it is, guys, play it, enjoy it,
Yeah.
figure out what it is, and it's coming soon, as opposed to 3 years from now.
It feels like a prime candidate for early access, and yet it just hasn't come out in early
Yeah,
access.
maybe they don't want to do it, right?
Yeah,
Like, they might want a final product.
Yeah, maybe this coming out at E3 will be like the final like, hey, here's what it actually is. Maybe we're actually happy with it, or maybe it'll be at next E3.
Well, yeah. Hopefully we'll get a nice big look at what Fortnite is today at E3. What about Rainbow Six Siege? I think PC gamers are excited for that one.
That was our game of the show last year.
Yeah.
So it's,
Gots.
Yeah.
The gods.
So I'll be very interested to see if it's held up. I think the preview we did not too long ago, a couple months back.
From the alpha.
Yeah, it didn't look quite as nice.
No.
Like,
It was
Famously
in-
being given a hard time right now for some downgrades.
right.
Yeah,
but-
it was in really rough shape. I mean, the maps, there was like all sorts of bugs. It didn't look quite great. Obviously, there were some textures that can be replaced, but it was just strange and didn't seem very balanced, and it needed a lot of work.
Which is weird because like when I played it at E3 last year, their vertical slice demo was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be coming out in October, which seems ambitious given the state it was in fairly recently. So hopefully E3 gives us a little more confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be surprised if they don't have it whipped into shape. I mean, especially getting all that feedback.
Sure.
I mean, a lot can happen in a couple months.
Oh yeah, and it's a great, smart, creative shooter. It's doing different things. Short, round-based objectives with unique characters who have different abilities. Like it's really cool.
And it seems like it can be one of those games that maybe, in terms of pure content, like if you were to bullet point out like how many maps, how many characters, how many this, like it could be light on content, but just so replayable and all that dynamic destructibility and player versus player really inventing new, seeing that metagame shift as they're not terrorists and counter-terrorists. What are the two groups?
Oh god, it's like Raven Shield and Rogue Spear.
Whatever they are, but like seeing the two sides.
Neither are Rainbow Six.
Yeah, figuring out different ways to tackle those different maps and seeing that metagame shift. There could be a tremendous amount of gameplay to mine there from maybe not a tremendous amount of content. Honestly, like. It sort of reminds me of Counter-Strike in that way.
Well, and it's going to be a lot like they compared it last year when we saw it to League of Legends, in that they're going to be adding new characters and probably new maps through DLC for a long, long time.
Yeah, it's like a platform. Game is a platform.
I love games where you can break stuff. That's one of my favorite things to do in a game.
Yeah.
Bring Red Faction back.
Yeah, like
Volition, please.
Please.
No, any game where I can like shoot a gun at a wall and have that, or
Have that
something,
wall
and
go away.
have it break. Like that makes you feel so much more powerful than just like shooting a rocket at a wooden door and the smoke clears and there's like maybe a smoke decal.
It just encourages creativity.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can create new routes, you can create new vantage points, you can take down a building, and like Bad Company 2, taking down a house was one of my favorite things to do. Like that was the best way to kill somebody. It was like, oh, I'm just gonna blow up the foundation of this house and you're dead.
I don't envy, Ubisoft. I don't envy the developers' need to balance that. It's like managing to break through a specific wall or a specific area of the floor, and that actually is one of the things that they actually have walked back some. So I hope at E3 this year we get a good look at what exactly the limitations are and what you can and can't do.
Yeah, giving players the freedom to destroy everything is like a level designer's nightmare.
Yeah.
It's like all that stuff I just did. Oh.
Yeah, or if you destroy this one spot in the corner, you can't lose. Like it's just a situation like that. Like they have to balance that. That's a real concern.
It's a challenge.
There's a big question mark on this game for me. Like, we keep seeing these multiplayer-focused games like Titanfall and Evolve come out and then sort of die off really quickly.
Yeah.
And I know that they have said that they plan on supporting this game for a long time after launch, but I don't know. Multiplayer-only games are tough.
Yeah, I mean they have that. They have to make that debut really strong and really balanced and really get their hooks into people. Otherwise, it can fizzle. I mean, especially if it's not free to play. Because I know like a lot of people have a pretty strong reaction. I like with Evolve. I think the charging $15 for a monster and $7 for a new hunter,
Absurd.
a little bit expensive, and I think that probably cost
a lot
them
of backlash.
Cost them a lot in momentum. Like people just weren't willing to jump in and spend that extra money. That much extra money. If it was cheaper, I think it would be much better. Because I liked what Evolve did in terms of like everybody gets to fight against those things, and they're going to have to do that kind of thing with Rainbow Six if they don't want to completely divide their community. That is a great way to inject new life and new variation into a game.
It's an interesting position to be in because everyone said for years, Call of Duty has, those developers have hundreds of developers working on a single player campaign that you beat in a weekend. And then millions of people play the multiplayer all year long till the next year. Why do they bother doing that? But then Titanfall says, that makes sense. Let's drop the campaign.
It is a strange dichotomy.
Then people kind of move
Battlefront's
on.
doing the same thing this year, and people are furious that there's no campaign.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, if you look at Titanfall, it just didn't have the breadth of multiplayer content that you expect from a Call of Duty game.
Sure.
So like if Call of Duty were to come out, or even Battlefield, like Battlefield used to come out with no campaign.
Sure.
And those did fine because they had just a huge amount of.
It was a big deal when
content.
Bad Company came out. It's like this has a what?
Yeah,
a
and
single player story.
Yeah, I think did Battlefield 2 have? No, Battlefield 2 didn't have a story at all.
No, but there was like a console port of 2 called like Frontline or some weird thing like
awful.
that.
But
That did have one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not usually why people buy those games, but the multiplayer is what sustains it. And if there are a limited number of maps or a limited number of modes, and that's what hurt Titanfall a lot.
Well, so then you see some developers. It's really hard to get a beat on, like you said, Damon, because like Valve Counter-Strike Source. That's the newest one. I get them all mixed up.
Counter-Strike Go.
Counter-Strike
Global
Go.
Offensive.
So that game was kind of a bomb when it launched. Not a bomb. That's a little strong.
It just didn't hit like.
But then Valve just hit it and hit it and hit it and never gave up. And now that game's massive. And they did the same thing with Titanfall, and it's not massive. Like that game is in such a better shape now than it was when it launched. They kept supporting it, new modes, lots of interesting stuff. So it's like, well,
You're talking about Titanfall or Counter-Strike?
Titanfall. So Titanfall Respawn did a similar strategy with Titanfall that Valve did with Counter-Strike, and it paid off with Counter-Strike, and it didn't with Titanfall.
Yeah.
And it's like a little bit hard to get a handle on that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, Counter-Strike's modes are so honed. Like that,
Yeah.
that game has been around for such a long time that they had a really strong foundation. Whereas Titanfall was trying something new and different with its mech combat and on-foot combat, and just nailing that balance, I think, is really hard when you try something completely new.
Sure.
Ubisoft also confirmed today that The Division will be playable on the show floor.
Nice.
So this will be the third E3 for The Division.
Yeah. I think it'll be the first time we get to play it then.
Yeah, first time it's a real video game.
Yep. Every time I've seen it, it's been a tech demo or an engine demo or a quick guided demo.
Yeah.
This time I'm gonna go try to break it.
I think last year they showed some cross-platform play with a tablet. Like somebody was controlling
That seemed really cool.
a drone with
Yeah,
a
true.
tablet.
It's
Everyone
like a
always
different
groans when
game.
you say stuff like that,
No,
but it was
this was
one of the
awesome.
few times that it actually was
It's like
pretty
that.
interesting.
That actually looks neat.
Ubi is really good about that. Watch Dogs multiplayer with the tablet was great.
Yep.
The tablet map on Assassin's Creed 4 was actually really useful and interesting too.
That's cool.
Annoying that the game, or you said 4?
Yeah.
I was thinking it was annoying in Unity how they kept pushing you to like.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
the worst.
Yeah.
Oh
but
yeah.
to open this
Go to the
chest.
App Store. No.
That's the big Ubisoft thing, right?
Yeah.
Like the Division. So that is.
They've dropped it for the new Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is no app.
Great.
But there is still that push. I mean, the Division is one of those games that we're really just gonna have to wait and see. It seems very promising. Maybe its online functions are really cool and feel essential. Maybe they're not. So
Yeah, I think that coming out,
how
being
RPG-ish
revealed
it is, that matters too.
That being revealed at the same time as Fallout 4 is going to be interesting because they're both kind of post-apocalyptic, different takes on it. Like one's post-nuclear, one's post-plague.
Yeah, and it
But-
seems like I think Fallout will probably have a better sense of humor than the Division.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
I think they just
one's
appeal to different
multiplayer, one's single
audiences.
player.
Yeah.
But
Like
yeah,
they-
but they're
they're very
post-apo-
different.
They are very different, but I think like thematically they are going to be kind of overlapping.
yeah.
And you mentioned Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed Syndicate is also coming out October 23rd. That will definitely be at E3 as well.
Yeah, is anyone excited about that, or is that?
I mean,
just kind of
I always
par for
am.
course?
Whenever they reveal it, I'm always
Yeah.
very interested in what they're doing. I like the look of Assassin's Creed games. I like the new systems they implement, but I never play them anymore.
Yeah. I got kind of sucked in. I'm like, whoosh. I didn't like last year's Assassin's
Yeah.
Creed, but this
But this
new
is the
Assassin's
one.
Creed.
I mean, yeah, it seems to go every other year for me. So by that judgment, this one I should like.
Yeah, it's like Star Trek movies.
Or Splinter Cells.
Interesting.
All the odd ones are really
Although I
good.
liked the last two.
Yeah, Blacklist was awesome.
What about Deus Ex: Mankind Divided? Another series that started on PC.
We haven't seen anything about it yet, so I'm excited to see what they're doing with it. If they're going in any kind of new direction.
That trailer was very hot.
Right.
Yeah.
Hot, you just cool?
Yeah. Hot, cool.
Okay.
Hot, cool.
I
Cool
just-
kind of hot.
I'm not as tapped into the kids. You got a kid. You know what all the kids
You
are
got all
saying
that
these
baby
days.
lingo.
Yeah, I got a kid. I'm the one that shouldn't know what's going on.
It doesn't bother you that the PC version is being outsourced to Nick says?
I mean, it's a port job, so.
I mean,
as long as
fundamentally, the
they're-
design is theirs.
Right, well,
they're making the
right.
game. They're just making it run on a PC.
I mean,
Right.
the years of PC ports, I mean, I guess there are some exceptions, like the PC port of Dark Souls being hot garbage, but generally speaking, it's not very often that you get some weird, janky PC port that looks weird, plays weird,
They have
has
been-
controller prompts on the screen.
Sure.
And,
They have been doing a largely better job of that in the recent years. Yes.
The fact that they talked about it so early as well, they announced the game, they said, we're doing this, we have this partnership with this developer who's doing the PC version, shows that they are committed to it. They're not just outsourcing it to some random developer. They're openly like, hey, we have a PC version. It's being worked on here. Like, these people are doing a PC game.
Did they know? So I played Human Revolution on PC and had it worked completely great. Was
Yeah.
it the same setup there? Or I'm not sure.
not-
I don't recall. I think there was definitely a second developer involved who was working on boss fights, and they may have also been doing PC work.
Don't mention the boss fights.
Yeah, but it's hard to say. I mean,
Man, I didn't think the boss fights were that bad in that game. I mean, they were the worst part of that game, but I thought they were fine.
they were a thematic mismatch in that.
Sure, you could stealth through the whole game, but then it's like, ah!
You have to kill them.
Sure.
Yeah. The Square Enix conference is 10 a.m. Pacific Tuesday morning, so we'll certainly be finding out more about Deus Ex then. But Star Wars Battlefront will also be probably the highlight, I think, of EA's press conference, which is on Monday.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this. I mean, I saw this at Star Wars Celebration. They showed a demo. It's like 5, 6, 7 minutes long of... It was guided, like we remember the first Titanfall demo we saw. It wasn't scripted, but it was very much choreographed.
Yeah.
And that cool stuff was happening every second. But it was honest. It was the kind of stuff that could happen, and you did have that experience when you played it. This is very similar in that crazy stuff was happening all the time. Big surprise moments, big awesome scenery, big set pieces. I hope that when we play it, it is like that. And E3 will be where we learn whether or not that is the case.
This is supposed to be the big gameplay reveal.
Yeah, 40-player multiplayer. There's also the co-op mode. I'm sure we'll get to see that in some capacity. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if at EA's booth they just have 40.
Sure, they
turbos
always do
set
for
up.
Battlefield,
Yeah.
right? They have like 64 PCs. They get them all in 64 at a time. I'm sure we'll see something similar for Star Wars.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see that game like actually running.
And yeah.
And that's what I'm sure
On
they'll
PC.
be. Yeah, I'm sure they'll be showing that on PC.
EA projects 10 million copies they can sell of Battlefront.
And based on the Star Wars name alone coming out around the same time as the new movie,
Yeah.
I think they'll do well.
It's an ambitious number.
It is, but
There's also a big backlash happening with that game. So
I'm sure those people will buy it.
yeah, I mean,
Remember when the people were going to boycott Modern Warfare 2?
Yeah, I was just
worked
going to
out
bring that
well.
up. That's my favorite example.
why were they
so
upset
good.
about Modern Warfare 2? Because that's like the best one.
It didn't have dedicated servers on PC, or wasn't going to, or
it never did, yeah.
That was the initial controversy was, and so there was a giant Steam group where it was boycott Modern Warfare 2, and then you can see what games people are playing in any Steam group. And when Modern Warfare 2 came out, everyone in that group were all in game in Modern Warfare 2, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, good job.
I mean, like that does speak to what we were talking about earlier, where there's a concern about a lack of content.
Sure.
Like they don't have a bunch of stuff that people have expected from based on the last couple of Battlefront games that are 10 years old now, but they don't have space battles. They don't have a bunch of planets. They don't have Clone Wars content.
No campaign.
No campaign.
Quality over quantity, people.
Right. So I mean, it remains to be seen whether
Sure.
that will actually be the case.
Yeah,
And
if the quality's not there, then they're in trouble.
right.
It's also a case where in the PC version specifically, we'll just have to see what they do with that version. Like,
yeah, and with DICE has always been pretty good on PC.
Right.
Like that is they're an old PC developer. They've done some pretty cool. Like Battlefield has always looked its best by far on PC. So I have no doubt that it's going to look great. I just hope that they populate it with enough content to give it the momentum it needs to not just be a kind of flash in the pan, cash in, like, Star Wars is out, let's have a Star Wars game.
I do not get that impression, and that excites me.
Well, I'm hopeful.
EA also has Mirror's Edge 2, which
Which-
hopefully we'll be getting a nicer look at than just like a teaser trailer.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah, this will be the 33
Oh, man.
that this thing is present at.
Yeah.
Wow.
First time we get to play it.
Yeah.
Man, I'm getting tired of that. Can we not have the same games at E3 every year? Like, announce a game, let us play it, and then launch that thing.
Yeah.
Get it out in the world.
Yeah. Well, hopefully
Presumably, yeah.
Fallout.
Or XCOM.
Yeah, the XCOM definitely. Like XCOM announced, this week,
Yeah.
coming out in November. Like 5 or 6 months, great. This whole 3 years thing is a bit much. I hope E3 gets on that bandwagon, or EA, sorry, and I hope Bethesda is on it because they've been working on Fallout presumably for like 5 years.
Long time.
Yeah.
Skyrim's been out a long time.
Yep.
And what about Call of Duty Advanced Warfare 3?
Nope.
Activision not...
Black Ops 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. Black Ops 3. There's only been one Advanced
You would have
Warfare.
skipped Advanced Warfare 2, or Warfare. God, I can't even say the names. They're all so confusing.
Yeah. Activision does not have a booth at E3, is that right?
They rarely do.
Yeah.
They normally have like a theater in the back where it's like, come watch this Destiny demo and the Call of Duty demo, and that's it.
Yeah, they'll definitely want to be showing off Destiny. Surely they'll be there. Showing off Black Ops 3. What about Metal Gear Solid 5?
I mean, that looks cool.
Looks really
it's
good.
It's coming out, I think, 2 weeks later on PC than it is on.
Yeah, but it's coming out in September.
Yeah.
So that
But-
should be pretty much finished, should be ready to go.
It better
Just
be.
in time for the Konami Kojima Fallout to come out in full effect.
Yeah. I'm not a big Metal Gear guy. I played Metal Gear Solid, thought it was good, didn't play any of the rest of them. I want to play 5, and I am just going to Fulton everything.
Yeah, that's
That's
all
going
I
to be the
wanna
way
do.
that I play the game.
Hello, livestock. You're mine now.
So if people don't know, a Fulton is a device that you can shoot at something, and then it carries it up into the air, and then it carries it back to your base. And you can, anything that's not nailed down, you can Fulton, including other people and animals and tanks and
I want to
radios.
know if you could like drive a tank over a tree and Fulton a tree back to your base.
So that's why I'm going to go wherever you start in that game. I'm going to make concentric circles outward, just Fultoning every single item that I can back to my base.
There's not a limited quantity of Fultons.
I don't know. We will.
We're gonna
I will
find
be
out.
the first person to find out.
If there is, that will be one of the first mods, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I don't care about the story. I don't care about anything. Just Fultoning everything.
That's funny you mentioned that too. Like, I'm a huge Metal Gear fan. This is the first time. And I like Ground Zeroes a whole lot for the same reason you're talking about with the Fulton stuff, right? Like variety of gameplay options and things like that. But I have no idea what Ground Zeroes was about. And this is the first Metal Gear story that I'm like,
Yeah.
what? What is going on? Who are these people? What's going on? I don't understand.
So there's two parts of it. It's one, I like just, it tweaks my imagination that anything that's not bolted down can become mine.
Yeah.
That's the same way that like I want to steal everything in Skyrim and just dump it in my house. But it's also the fact that you don't know what it does in your base. It's like that
What's that
Suikoden-
goat up to?
Oh,
Yeah.
I know what he's doing.
It's like that Suikoden base building feeling where like I recruit some dude and I don't know what he's going to do back in my. If I get a sheep, do I have a sheep farm? I don't know. I don't know. Let's all find out together, Damon.
In Justin's Metal Gear Solid 5 Let's Play series, Let's Fulton.
That's it. I turned it into Farmville. I just run a farm as Snake. All the livestock.
But terrorism, I don't care.
Yeah, nope.
I got a cow.
I got multiple cows. I got all the cows.
Got every cow in that game.
Now, Dead Island 2 was recently delayed until next year. Do you think that's
Yeah.
going to be there? Deep Silver going to be showing off Dead Island 2?
I hope so.
I would hope so.
It seems very promising, right? Like it's from the same guys who did Spec Ops. That game was super interesting.
Pick up the line?
Yes.
I like the theme that they've been showing off with that game since its very first trailer. The very sort of upbeat, sunny California, but
Yep.
the guy's bit and he's running, and it's like that's weird, and it was just
That
cool.
trailer was last year, right? I think
2 years.
During,
Well,
no, I think that was last year.
They all blur together.
During the Microsoft conference.
That was a really cool trailer, which the Dead Island trailers are always excellent. I'm happy that the game itself has been a little bit shaky and so-so when we've seen it in the past.
Good
so.
thing they delayed it.
Well, that's what I mean. Like anytime a game's like kind of like I don't know, then they delay it. I'm like, good on you for
Yep.
doing the right thing.
Yeah, I have to wonder like how much of that what was affected by they saw Dying Light come out and it's like, oh, there's some ideas and maybe they did stuff that was too close to what we were doing and maybe we have to adjust that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably a lot of observation of what Dying Light did and how they think they could do it better.
I will say that I found the first Dead Island to be incredibly overrated.
I completely agree.
I thought it was very clunky and weird. It was
Found
a
it-
very different game than I expected.
I found it to be too buggy to play.
I agree.
You got stuck? You famously got stuck inside a room.
Famously.
Well, famous to me.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. talks about it all the time at parties.
But again, that's a different developer. So that's a developer that did Dying Light, which was not too buggy.
No.
Actually,
People really liked Dying
I didn't
Light.
like Dying Light either.
But I think our audience liked
Yeah,
Dying Light
it was
a
a
lot.
very popular game.
Popular early year game.
I want a zombie game. I guess not Dead Island. What's the Capcom one?
Rising.
Dead Rising. I want that's very polished. That's got a very great polish feel to it. And Dead Island always has that level of jank to it. And Dying Light, in my opinion, that I hope they smooth out for the sequel.
Now, Battleborn. Is Gearbox's sort of MOBA? Is that what this is?
Yeah,
Well,
sort of.
No?
No,
It's Gearbox's Don't Call It a MOBA.
Yeah, there we go.
It's got a mobile mode.
call it a MOBA.
They have a communication problem with that game. I actually think I haven't played it. I think the game looks awesome. I think the way that they're presenting it to the world is kind of strange, and I don't understand. They
Oh, you
presented
mean when
it
they announced it and then went dark for a year?
well, but they
or
announced it
whatever
as
it
this
was.
like
It was
5v5 game,
Yeah.
but it turns out that's just one mode. Like it's this whole game where
It has a cooperative campaign, right?
yeah,
Sure.
It's got a,
Five-player cooperative
But I think
campaign.
that campaign draws a lot on the MOBA-esque design, right? Like you're essentially running down a corridor, like a lane, and fighting neutral creeps and fighting other heroes and
But I don't think
completing an
it's
objective.
Is it first person or third person?
First person.
First person shooter.
It's a
and-
first-person class-based shooter, like
Yeah.
Overwatch, like these other games, and it's got a competitive mode, a cooperative mode. Like I don't know, I thought everything I see looks really cool.
Sounds
but
great. I'm very excited for that.
Everyone's a little kind of so-so on it, but I'm not entirely sure why.
They just need to show what it
show the game.
actually
Yeah, it'd be great.
is.
They probably need to hit the reset button on that one a little bit.
Yep.
There should be a big conference where they can.
What about Jonathan Blow's The Witness?
Oh my goodness gracious!
That's another one that's been at the last three.
Am I
three-
excited for The Witness?
I mean, yeah, it sounds awesome. I would love
You're
to actually.
you're still excited. You've maintained the excitement.
yeah, I mean,
What
I
if
think
this is the year where he shows up on Sony's stage and it's like, all right, it's out.
It's out. I know.
man, I just think so. There's been some blowback against Braid, and some Jonathan blowback against Braid in the years since that game came
Which
out.
is nonsense.
But if
What's
you,
the blowback? What's the blowback?
I don't know, just
the typical internet thing where it's like, oh, that thing was cool before, I didn't like it.
Well, yeah,
Oh, okay.
and Jonathan
Gotcha.
Blow is seen as being very pretentious, for better or worse. But I don't think he's
He's a smart
pretentious.
guy.
If he's very smart and is correct and knows what he's talking about. Like Braid was so good.
We just had David Hellman in the office to do a Let's Play. He did the art for Braid.
Yeah.
And I watched that. He and Marty just sat down and talked about the art and the emotion of that game. And I'm watching this video and I'm like, I do not remember this game being this pretty, having this great of music, having this great of writing. Like
puzzles
I
being so good.
God, it's so good.
Well, and we also
Still.
Braid kicked off sort of puzzle platformers with a twist. Every game is a puzzle
Yeah.
platformer with a twist, and so it feels that time manipulation and some of those mechanics feel a little bit tired now, but they weren't when that game came out. Like it's the one that started it. That's why it feels a little bit more cliched now. So, The Witness, basically what he did is this guy that is probably a genius. Took all the millions of dollars that he made with Braid and just poured it into a new game and started his own studio. How is that not going to be incredible? Like it's absolutely on my short list for the end of the year.
Yeah.
I know, but, like very smart people have blown it. Like it's happened. So I'm just saying blow. Okay,
sure.
No, I'm not like counting that chicken before it hatches.
I don't know, I also think it just looks really intriguing. I think it's going to have the same sort of moment-to-moment puzzle solving that Braid had, with a really strong like story of the island. I get Myst vibes from like trying to solve the mystery on this island.
Also,
very
every time
misty.
that dude tweets about that game, I'm like, you have too many puzzles in your game. That is too many,
Yeah.
sir. How am I going to solve 400 puzzles?
No puzzles blocks, please.
No puzzles. Just walking.
What have I gone home?
Yeah. But with an island.
What about Firewatch?
Speaking of Gone Home.
Love that game. We did that for IGN First a few months back, right?
Yeah.
Firewatch is a really interesting game from like the ex-Walking Dead guys over at Campo Santo. Really smart way of communicating with the other character in that game. There's basically
By radio, right?
I mean, you just bust open this radio, you're like, hey, what's up? And you just have conversation with her at any time.
Yeah, and their dialogue system is really cool.
Just kind
That's
of
what-
observe and interact with everything in the environment via this other person.
It's almost hard to explain and hard for them to demo, but you pick conversation options. Like there's a dialogue tree, but sort of the twist or what's different about it is the conversation that you have changes later conversations that you have. The game takes place over a few months. And so like the day will end, then you'll come back, 2 weeks later. And so the two of you can become friends, or you can become enemies, or you can become, it's very open-ended in those choices that you make. It's not just, pick some random choice. Like you develop a relationship with this person that has these very different branching paths and changes different aspects of the game.
What I'm hoping they show at E3 is just like a little bit more of the actual gameplay. Like the dialogue is what's going on behind it, but I haven't seen any kind of actual like, here's what you have to do.
I mean, it is Gone Home-ish. It's exploring your environment and light puzzle solving and figuring out how to get from point A to point B.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be
just
like
a matter of like what are those objectives? Like even in Gone Home, it's like okay, the idea is find out what happened to your
Sure, I
family.
mean, there is this big mystery though, right? Like there
how
is
many,
something
how many
going
ghosts
on.
are there?
I want to know. I want to know what the mystery is.
And I'm sure you'll see that as, I mean, the demo that we saw, the stuff that we have on IGN First right now, like that was a very early part of the game, like first 15 minutes-ish of the first day. And as time goes on, this dude's objectives are going to change. He's going to be exploring more. He's going to have additional tools to navigate the forest better.
And we I love that you play as a fat guy.
Yeah.
It's in first person, so it doesn't come up super often, but he has a hard time jumping over little jumps.
He's got kind of fat fingers.
He's got kind of fat fingers. And then we got to thinking, what other games? Mario's cheating. What other games do you play as a fat guy? It's not very many.
Oh, man.
Street Fighter.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say Fat Princess, but you don't actually play as her.
That's true. You just rescue her.
Street Fighter, you play as E-Honda.
Y'all remember State of Emergency? There was a fat guy in that.
Yeah. I also really like that Firewatch is in 1989. That's really cool. They're nailing that whole vibe.
Ollie Moss's art, incredible.
Goodness gracious.
Good lord.
Just Cause 3 will be there. I'm super excited for Just Cause 3, and Just Cause 2 is actually big in the PC community because they modded it for multiplayer.
There's a mod called there's also before that there was a mod called the Bolo mod where you get as many tethers as you want.
Grapple everything.
And they're unbreakable, so you can tie a plane to a bunch of cars and it goes nuts.
There's the famous GIF of exactly the plane that's spinning around
that tree.
on the grapple. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh, it's physics playground madness.
Did that
love
game
it.
get delayed yet?
It has not.
I
think it's just.
don't know where that game fits this year, especially since Avalanche is also launching Mad Max.
I think that's Well,
I feel like Just Cause does not come out this year.
I hope it does. But I do think both that and Mad Max look good.
There are so many games coming out this year, especially if Fallout comes out this year.
We say that every year.
There's so many games.
Too many games every year.
Like we could have used more like maybe around now-ish. I guess we've already got The Witcher and Batman coming, but
Last year was all right. Last year was the first year where I was like, I don't know what my game of the year is.
yeah.
Just a few more games to note. Homefront: The Revolution was also recently delayed until next year.
Yep.
That is a game that we haven't seen maybe ever. I know that there was it was like
I looked up
Ryan saw a vertical slice of it,
Okay.
but he was told at the time, and this was probably 2 years ago at E3.
God,
He was told at the time, it's like, oh yeah, this won't be in the game. This is just kind of
Well,
our.
and then it switched developers and
Right.
publishers, and they started over.
I guess,
what,
the core development team is the same because they were brought over into Deep Silver. I think
Sure,
some
some of them
how that
are,
worked.
but that seems like some marketing speak.
Yeah.
I had a chuckle when I was looking up. I'm like, I don't know that much about this game. Before I hop onto GameScoop, I want to look it up. And on IGN, the two stories back to back where Deep Silver acquires Homefront: The Revolution. Homefront: The Revolution delayed. And those stories were like 8 months apart. I'm like, well,
Wow.
all right, we'll see.
But that game, like, it's got to be. It's basically a completely unknown quantity.
Yeah.
Like the developers of the last one folded up, before THQ went bust.
And Homefront was a bad game.
I did
It's
not
an
enjoy it
interesting
at all.
premise for a
Totally.
game, but like
Yeah.
that name does nothing for them.
Yeah.
No. But it sold really well.
Did it?
That game
That's
sold
true.
like 3 million copies.
Really?
It was huge.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, they
that's why,
marketed
that's
the
why
hell
they're,
out of it.
yes, exactly. That's
Their
why.
marketing
on the
blitz
game.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it basically is. So I mean, it runs the risk of being a very generic shooter if they don't do something interesting with it. I really want to see what they're going to do with it to make it not be just like, here's an enemy force, kill them.
I hope it's similar to Wolfenstein in that, we expect it to be what we expect it to be, but it is something more emotionally interesting. It has qualities that we didn't see coming that are really valuable for like the genre and not just like, oh, this is a good shooter.
It's got a title screen. It's like 2 hours into the game.
Boom. No problem.
There is Adrift, the FPX game from Adam Orth, and 505 Games is publishing.
Yeah, it's like the space-based one where
Yeah.
it's some zero-grav stuff. I actually don't know that much about it.
Looks great.
Yeah, I mean, you're just a stranded astronaut trying to survive. Which
Another
is
sort of
fascinating as a concept to
first-person
me.
exploration sort of. I hate to keep comparing it to Gone Home, but it's
Sure.
similar in the sense that it's
There's just
mostly
not a lot of like combat or action.
Yeah, it's mostly
But-
peaceful. You're mostly traveling through this interactive environment and piecing together the story.
But it's in space, so it's E.T. gone home.
Yeah, well,
I like it.
I do not.
David appreciates
I do
me.
not.
I appreciate it.
Do you appreciate me? Yeah.
And finally, Oculus will be there showing off
Oculus.
the latest batch of Oculus games, which is supposed to launch next year.
Yeah, and they should have. I guess it's coming up really soon. They've got their own event where they're going to show off the new consumer version of the
final hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and they could potentially announce the input device that they are rumored to be working on. So
I thought they confirmed they were going to be showing that off.
Did they?
Or was that
Well,
only a
that'd be
rumor?
neat.
I mean, it's got to be coming soon, obviously.
the rumor started here, folks. There's you need a controller to really interact with VR in a good way.
Oculus on.
Right. Yeah, they're going to announce they're working with the Kinect.
Great.
No.
I like to remind people that Oculus is owned by Facebook. Apropos of nothing, it's like one of those things that's like, oh yeah,
Easy to
that
forget,
happened.
That's my favorite new thing in this season of Silicon Valley is in the intro title thing.
They added.
Oculus is right next to Facebook, and then the Facebook banner like moves over to the Oculus building and takes it
Yeah.
over. It's really cute.
Yeah.
That show's really great.
Yes, it is.
Everyone should be watching
Yes, you should.
Silicon Valley. There you have it. That's 20-some PC games to look forward to at E3 this year. You can
And there are a bunch more too.
Oh, yeah. That's just 20-some.
You know what you won't see at E3? A bunch of MOBAs.
I really want to see the Pillars of Eternity expansion is confirmed to be at E3. Obviously, only appeals to people that played Pillars, but a lot of us did. Going to be a really big, meaty PC RPG expansion, which they kind of went away, and I'm glad to see them come back.
We also didn't really go over the idea that Xbox One games will be, cross-play, cross-compatible, cross-something with Windows 10.
You have to stream from your Xbox to your PC.
I still maintain that, like, in
it's
2016,
worthless.
I would bet a considerable amount of my limbs that
What?
an Xbox One game comes
There aren't
out.
that many.
Yeah,
One
take
is
it, take
plenty.
it.
One's plenty.
One is considerable.
I still think 2016 will be the year when Xbox One games and PC games are one and the same, just like PS4 and PS3.
Not exactly. I mean, they've got Fable Legends, which is going to be cross-platform. Like you can play.
But I'm saying like Quantum Break will launch and you can buy it on PC or Xbox and it will be tied to your Xbox account and you will be able to play it on either. And that will become a common thing. In
That's a neat
2016.
idea.
It's
I
possible.
hope that's something they talk about at E3.
It's possible, but it's still.
If they're
it's
really
still two
committed to
different versions
Windows
of the
gaming
game.
like they say they are.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out in 2 weeks. You can watch all of E3 live at IGN. Our coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. Pacific on Sunday the 14th with the Bethesda conference. And then we run live pretty much all week long until
Never ends.
we are dead.
Yeah.
Before we go this week, let's check in with listeners.
Hey,
Hey,
listeners.
listeners.
What's up?
Remember, you can always reach us at the email address gamescoop@ign.com, just like Matt did. And Matt says, hey, Damon, this question is specifically for you.
Hey,
since
Matt.
You
Oh, cool.
run the 20 questions segment. I feel like the panel who's asking you questions already have an idea of what game you are thinking of, especially last week with KOTOR. I think Justin said it best a couple episodes ago, it's always a Damon game. I think it would be awesome if the listeners wrote in with a game of their choosing. If you decide to do this, I would love for you to pick X game as the first game. So,
The X Games.
20 questions to figure out what game our friend Matt?
All right. So I haven't been on a Game Scoop in a little while. Are the three of us working together now? Is that how we're doing this?
Yes.
Was that not the case before?
Well, before I would
we were-
pick 3 different games, and then you would each have to, and it was a little
wow.
time consuming.
All right. Do we just
Yeah.
want to go? Do we want to go down the line?
Let's just, you do what your heart tells you. You got a question, you just go.
Yeah. Did this game originally come out before 2000?
Before
The year 2000?
no.
Strong start.
What is it? A platform exclusive?
Yes.
Platform. Narrow down the platform.
Yeah, net right?
Nintendo, PlayStation.
Yeah. Sure.
Is it a PlayStation game?
Yes.
Boom!
All right.
Okay.
Well
After
played.
2000, is it a PlayStation 3 game?
No.
Oh, it's
Is
gotta
it
be
a PlayStation
yeah.
4 game?
No, it could be PS2, right? What year did
It
the
could
PS2
be.
come
After
out?
2000?
It could be.
Yeah,
Oh,
I guess
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Of
All
course.
right.
Or
all right.
Vita, or
Yeah. Okay, that's bad.
Is it a PlayStation 4 game?
No.
All right, so let's just say it's a PlayStation 2 game.
no. Let's
Without
let's burn. I want
wanna
to get
spend
this.
it?
Yeah.
could
Just
be a
do
Vita.
it.
Is this a PlayStation 2 game?
Yes.
Didn't need to. There are no PlayStations left.
All right. So a PS2 game that's a platform exclusive that came out after 2000.
Right. Is this a Japanese developed game?
No.
Ooh. Okay, do we want to do the genre or
Right. Like, I remember playing a lot of RPGs.
But it's not Japanese.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true. Is this
So we're down to like Ratchet and Clanks. We have the Naughty Dogs. We got the Insomniacs.
is this a Naughty Dog game?
No.
Triple checking.
No.
Is this an Insomniac game?
No. That brings you at 9.
Interesting. Okay.
Western developed PS2 game.
But that doesn't mean American.
And it also doesn't mean. Okay, I'm gonna ask one more question. Then you guys, is this a first party game?
Well,
Yes.
platform
You've
exclusive.
had 3 answers
No,
in a row
because
that
it could
were
be a
question
third party
marks.
platform exclusive. Absolutely, it could.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
Or it could be
solving
like a
this
weird
right now.
second party thing, like
Okay.
a Ratchet and Clank.
Yes.
First party.
game. That's your 10th question.
Great.
Yes. And
Not Japanese developed.
no.
Sony Santa Monica.
Is this a God of War game?
No.
Well,
Wait a minute.
I worry we're not thinking in Europe.
I didn't know it a PS2.
Ask a. Okay, so is the primary way that you interact with this game? Is it shooting?
Yes.
Is it shooting stuff?
Is the primary
What was that?
I'm
What was
not
that
gonna
shooter?
spend that question.
What was that shooter? Black?
Black Site?
No, just black.
Oh, Black?
Is it black?
No.
That wasn't first party. A first party shooter.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
No.
It was.
It was developed by
PS2
no, it was
exclusive,
developed by
wasn't
Criterion.
it? Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
First
That's
party
my bad.
shooter. Does Sony have? Are we dumb?
Killzone? Is it Killzone 2?
No.
No, that was a PlayStation 3 game. Is it Killzone?
No.
Calza?
Is it a Killzone?
But it doesn't necessarily have to be first person. He just said the primary way you interact with the world is shooting.
Well, they would use one of those questions to ask if it was first person.
But it's God, my mind immediately went
Is
to
it
like
a first-person
Killswitch or
shooter?
Resident Evil.
No.
All right.
Okay.
That's
We have
16.
4
third,
left.
third person shooter.
Third person shooter. First party. PlayStation 2 platform exclusive.
Yeah. And it's not, but it's not Ratchet and Clank because that's
Because it's not an
Insomniac.
Insomniac game.
Yeah. What does that leave us with? Who made?
What are we forgetting?
Do you shoot stuff in Sly Cooper?
There are Siphon Filter games.
Not on the
that came to-
PS2,
Yeah,
is there?
they ported the PSP games. There was Logan Shadow and something else. but
That's a stretch.
I hesitate.
That's a stretch.
That would be a deep
How
cut.
else? How else can we narrow it down? And then we got 3 guesses to narrow the game. Is there anything else? Can we do?
We'd ask if it's sci-fi or
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah. Should we ask if it's sci-fi?
Yes.
You do
Is
it.
it sci-fi?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so either contemporary or
They didn't
old-timey.
do. They didn't do like there's no like SOCOM or.
That's really good.
But it's not a
Yes.
first-person shooter.
No, SOCOM is third person. You
Is
can,
it?
you can actually switch, but it's primarily third person. Is this a SOCOM game?
Yes.
PlayStation 2 has
I don't know which-
SOCOMs 1, 2, and 3. We have 2 guesses. David's having such a great time. Look at this fool.
I would just. Is it SOCOM? SOCOM 1.
Yes.
19 questions.
19 questions.
Oh my goodness gracious!
I totally forgot about SOCOM.
Yeah,
Which
that
is
was-
sad because
That's why
that was
this
the
is
thing.
cool because I would never pick that game for you
Yeah.
guys.
No.
That's what makes it really hard because I know what Damie likes.
There's a game that just came out on Steam called H-Hour. Looks exactly like SOCOM.
SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs.
Yep.
Full name of that game.
And I love
PlayStation
that
2 was
series.
released in 2002. Zipper Interactive. Was
Rest
the,
in peace.
Yeah,
developer.
rip.
Yeah.
Rip zip.
Went on to do MAG, I do believe.
They also did Operation Raccoon City.
Rip.
Wow.
Or was that Slant 6, the other SOCOM developer?
That was good.
No one knows.
So that's good.
SOCOM is cursed.
IGN still has a perfect winning streak. No one has ever
All right.
failed to guess
All right.
a 20 questions game.
It's pretty hard to lose 20 questions if we're being honest. Altano lost, didn't
Well,
he?
so I've been thinking about implementing this new rule where if you guess a specific game and you're wrong, then you're out.
That's really good.
You have to be sure.
So if I'm like, oh, is it Jack and Daxter? No,
yeah,
I'm done.
you have to
Like that.
So maybe we'll narrow it down.
I almost asked if the primary function of this game is multiplayer, but I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Because it briefly crossed my
Yeah.
mind, like, the only game that was like Final Fantasy XI
Yeah.
and SOCOM. Couldn't possibly. Moving on. And then I just didn't think about SOCOM anymore.
Yeah.
Good suggestion, Matt. If
was
anyone
great.
else has any suggestions for what games we can use in 20 questions, email us at gamescoop@ign.com. That's all the scoops we have for you this week. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Mitch. My name is Damon. This is IGN Gamescoop, and we're out.